watching the Half Asian Tarot Queen. I'm Elisa, and just reminding you the giveaway for July is the Mystical Shaman Oracle, which is my favorite deck, and I'm going to start with it. But yeah, I've been doing a giveaway, which I'm headquartering in the monthly reading every month. This month, it's the Mystical Shaman. You can look at the reading for July, which is the monthly reading. It's called Crossing the Bridge Over Troubled Water. And that was sort of the message for July. You know, walking through some difficult stuff. But we're on the path towards a sort of a new world order. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I have the videos on this channel. They're arranged according to storyline and not so much date and zodiac sign. So I'll link related videos within the video, like, you know, up here. And I also arrange videos that are related to each other in storylines or playlists on the channel. A lot of them are listed down below. And I'll refer to them as I go. So, you know, it'll come up. So I'll just bring it up when it comes up. Okay, wow. I love it. Like the color coded thing, and not only that, but they all have these like suns. This deck like flows together in this way that's just like really, I love it. So I had to go on a little adventure, and I'm back. That happens around here a lot. Okay, so at the bottom of the deck we have the Jaguar, and this is really a beautiful omen for me, because I was having this I have these friends that I grew up with, and we were having like a Zoom conference the other day, and we were totally joking about being a jungle cat from the Amazon, which is the Jaguar is the jungle cat from the Amazon, but it's really an omen for someone who's sort of like conquered their shadow side, you know, and so they've conquered their fears, and the Jaguar is like at the top of the food chain, you know, but yet, you know, he's not like the silver spoon that just like had everything handed to them on a silver platter. Like the Jaguar has been through it. They've conquered their shadow side, and they rightfully deserve to be at the top of the food chain. But yet there's a certain grace, you know, because they can kind of like go down into the deepest, darkest parts of the jungle, and, you know, they can go anywhere. Like there's nothing is off limits for the Jaguar, because the Jaguar has conquered their shadow elements. And so they can roam freely throughout the jungle, you know, anywhere, and face anything. So this is at the bottom of the deck, so that's an auspicious omen. And then we have the Rainbow, which this is a card that often kind of, one of the powerful messages that comes through with this card is that things are going to get better. Like it's always darkest before the dawn, you know, but actually this is a really good omen too, because you see, you know, the rainbow, which is kind of signifying, you know, the 7 chakras, you know, and all represented here, and they're like in balance, in alignment, you know, with the heavens. Like the heavens and the earth are in alignment, but they're also, they're like coming into focus here with this, like, with this bird, you know. So it's almost like, by having these in alignment, like the power of the universe is propelling this bird on its destiny, you know. I mean, I think that's the message with this card. So things are going to get better, whatever's going on, because you are in alignment, and that is propelling you forward on your destiny. And then this goes right towards the blade, you know, and so this, you know, this is a similar message to the Ace of Swords in the traditional tarot. Like, it can be, the blade can be harsh, you know, because it's like cutting away stuff that like no longer serves you. But yet, one of the messages of this card is just to have reverence for the blade, you know, because this often speaks of, you know, you're cutting away things that no longer serve you. So you might be cutting away like toxic relationships or elements of the past that are no longer serving you, you know, but have reverence for the power of the blade and use it wisely, because it can hurt, you know, it can cut, it can hurt people, you know, so keep that in mind, you know. And it's like, I just noticed this now. I've never noticed this about this card, but it has the cycles of the moon here, and there's like this full moon right on top of the blade. So it's almost like it's a moment to sort of like cut away, you know. And then that leads also into the hummingbird, which the message with this is the hummingbird, you know, it's this sweet little gentle tiny bird, you know, but like, don't be fooled, because this bird is fierce. Like, if you come into its territory, you know, the bird will like fiercely defend itself. And yet, you know, despite it being little, it can like venture off into like, you know, far off parts of the globe, you know, like this little bird can fly really far, you know. So a couple things, like, it's just sort of like indicating sort of like setting off on a new adventure, but also like you might have to encounter some treacherous things, you know, on that journey, and you might have to like fiercely defend yourself, you know. But don't be afraid, because, you know, you've conquered all of this, and despite having, you know, difficulties that might come up, this speaks to being able to have the resources to defend yourself. So this is like really auspicious, because it's just sort of like, it's always darkest before the dawn, and you might have to defend yourself and like cut away things that are toxic or that are holding you back, but you're about to set off on a new adventure. So it's really beautiful so far. Okay, I'm going to the Muse Tarot to pull some cards for some overall energies for the reading. At the bottom, we have the Five of Inspiration, which is like the Five of Wands in the traditional deck. So that kind of speaks to like, you know, conflict and chaos around, you know. So like, it's like always darkest before the dawn, and you might have to like conquer some inner demons, you know, to get through this moment. But this is a good thing, you know, like we're coming into alignment with the truth, and that leads to good things. I'm gonna pull, just a second. Drama erupting. Okay, so a lot of drama and interruptions, but that's probably part of the reading. So, but one thing, I forgot to mention this, but I wanted to mention this because I was talking about how all three of these cards, I mean, the colors go together again, but they all have the sun in the background. And, you know, the sun in the traditional tarot is like the best card of the deck. It's like happiness, fertility, abundance, like everything. And it's like an empire, you know, and it's interesting because there's been all these readings this week leading up to sort of this empire being born, you know, this dynasty, which is really interesting. So the thing that came to me is this like Empire of the Sun. Like, this is like the beginning of something really good. And that's might be what this reading is called. So, okay. I went to the Muse Tarot to get some overall energies for the reading. At the bottom, we have the Two of Cups, the Two of Emotions in this deck. But I love this card because it's just like, you know, there are these two people, they're totally in sync, and they're kind of synced up from their emotions are in sync, and they're just like swimming in this watery realm, you know, of emotion. It's beautiful art. So, there's that. And then we have the Magician, the Moon, and the Five of Inspiration. So it's speaking to this like beautiful love connection that's just like totally in sync. And, you know, it's like a deep soulmate connection, you know. And then we're talking about like manifestation in this watery realm, which is so interesting because it's just like we're building an empire out of this beautiful connection, you know, but it's manifesting in you know, the three-dimensional world, you know. And then I pulled the Five of Inspiration again, which was at the bottom of the deck earlier. So, you know, this is a card of conflict and competition, and you know, that can be a good thing or a bad thing, but definitely when you're bringing things down into the world of reality, like, this is inevitably going to come up, you know, because there's difficulties and challenges that you have to walk through. And there was like a reading that I did like way when I started the channel, and it was like all about like, I think it was called like Runway Touchdown or something, about how like when you come down from the sky and you hit the ground, there's this you know, this jolt, because you know, it's not all going to be like this dream world fantasy. I mean, when you bring it into the realm of reality, you're inevitably going to hit some difficulties. So it's talking about manifesting this beautiful thing with long-term potential, but it's not easy. Like, there's difficulties and challenges that are going to come along with that. So just a message about that. Okay, so I'm going to go to the Golden Art Nouveau to pick some more cards about getting some clarity about this moment that we're in, and see if I can get some more information about what all's going down here. Interesting. Okay. All right, so at the bottom, we have the Seven of Pentacles. So this is like planting seeds for the future. Like, we're building something, you know, that might have like impact for generations, you know. This is an empire. Okay, so this is really interesting. So we have this, the Four of Cups. So we have this person, and there's this cup of love being offered to them, you know, but they're not really paying attention. They're like taking a nap, and it's just kind of languishing there, you know. And then we have the Hangman. So this is like a person who's like taking a step back and trying to get a perspective on a situation. Because it's like, maybe part of this thing is there's this cup of love, and they're not really sure what to do about it, because it's like they know that maybe that if they take this cup, there's a sacrifice that's gonna have to be made, you know, when they do that. And so that's kind of what they've been like contemplating, like what all that's gonna involve, you know. But then we have the Six of Swords. So this is a card of someone that's moving on from like a bad situation to something better, to like calmer waters, you know. They've like taken their things, they've jumped in the boat, and they're like they're kind of moving, you know, and it's interesting because like I just did a reading like not very long ago that was like, don't miss the boat, you know, that was the reading. So I feel like that might be relevant here. So it's like indicating that like they're kind of moving on, you know, like, and then we've got the Page of Cups, which fell out right under this Four of Cups. So it's like maybe they've like taken their time and they figured out what it is that they're going to have to sacrifice, and now they've made a decision and they're like offering this cup, you know. And it's interesting because that falls out right under the Magician. Like they're like, okay, like now I'm going to make this happen, you know, like I'm in alignment now, and now's the time, like this is the moment, you know. They're doing it. And then we have the Three of Pentacles, which is it's a card of like laying a new foundation. And it's interesting because we have the Three of Pentacles and we have the Seven of Pentacles, which like goes, when you add that up, that leads to the Ten of Pentacles, which is like the Dynasty, which has been coming up a ton, you know. But like it's interesting because these are both about building, you know, planting seeds, building a new foundation, and planting seeds for the future, you know. So it's just like, you know, this person is going to have to sacrifice something to bring this into fruition, to make this new foundation. And there's a lot of emotion that's attached to whatever sacrifice that is, you know. But it's interesting because like at the beginning of the reading, I was talking about how this blade was like in alignment with this full moon, you know, and like this is the time. And then this full moon card falls right on top of it, you know, which indicates, you know, they've like contemplated what it is that they're going to have to sacrifice. And now is the moment, you know, it's the moment to cut away what's not serving, whatever toxic thing has been like maybe blocking it. Like now is the time. You know, it's time. And now they're like laying a foundation, a new foundation. And then we have, it's so interesting, we have the Two of Swords, you know. So this is a card of like inner conflict, you know, and just like stalemate, you know, and a blockage, because you're sort of like inner, you know, there is this inner conflict, you know. But that fell right on top of the Six of Swords, which is like moving on from a bad situation to a better situation, and the Five of Inspiration, you know. So this kind of makes sense, you know. There's going to be some chaos and conflict to move through because there's obviously some inner conflict about this. Like this is not going to be easy, you know, and maybe that's why it's been put off for so long, you know. And this card kind of spoke to that, you know. It's like this bird's going on this new adventure, you know, and it's really auspicious, and there's, you know, good things that are going to come of it, but they're going to have to move through some drama to get there, you know. Like that's what this card was prophesizing, and that's kind of what the further cards sort of confirmed. Okay, more drama. Hey, okay, so I had to go on another adventure, but I just pulled, you know, 3 more cards from Muse just to get some energy about how we're going to move through this moment, because it's kind of like, you know, we're birthing an empire of the sun, you know. And it's like when you give birth to things, like there's pain that goes with that too, you know. It's like beautiful, but it's also super painful. So like we're kind of seeing both of those things. And at the bottom of the deck we had the Two of Voices, and so that's kind of like the Two of Wands in a traditional deck. But you know, it's a card of sort of like being at a turning point, like at, you know, having to kind of like a fork in the road, like you're kind of going one way or the other, you know. And it's definitely like a moment in time that you're going to look back and be like, yep, that was a fork in the road. So it's a pivotal moment. And for cards, we got the Seven of Inspiration, which this is a card in the traditional deck that's like the Seven of Wands, which is like the stand your ground. But I really love the artwork in this deck because it's like there's this light, you know, like this inspiration that's wanting to come through, but this person's having to like push out the darkness to kind of like create this opening for this light to come through, you know. And it's like, you know, they're really working for it, you know. But like I love that interpretation. So it's just like, you know, we're giving birth, you know. I mean, it is almost like, I mean, it does look like this artwork of giving birth. And then we have the Hermit, you know, which is just someone who's kind of on a spiritual quest, you know. And I love how the sun is in the background in this, because we're building the empire of the sun. So it's just sort of like, you know, taking that moment to yourself. It's funny because it fell out right under the Hangman, you know. And it's like taking this moment, you know, and you're being guided, but you're building a foundation, you know, for this new. So it's kind of almost like you're going off on your own, and you're kind of like creating this opening, because it's like you're making space for this new thing to come forward. And then we have the Six of Inspiration, which is the Six of Wands in the traditional deck, and it's a card of victory and like someone coming home to like a ticker tape parade. But here it's like almost like, you know, there's a star, you know, it's like this 15 minutes of fame, you know, like this is kind of what I'm getting from this artwork. But like, this is going to be worth it, you know, all this pain and conflict and struggle that we're walking through, like, it's ultimately, there's going to be a reward. So don't give up, you know. This hummingbird is fierce, you know, it's just this sweet little bird, but it goes far and wide, and it's fierce, you know. So know that this is not all for naught. Like, this is going somewhere good. So, you know, for the month of July, we're crossing the bridge over troubled water. And it's not easy. So I'm going to the Sacred Self-Care Oracle, which is the oracle I've been ending on for this month because of the theme, and see what kind of self-care message that we can get, because it's really important to take time for yourself and your self-care, because, you know, it's not easy. All right, so we got massage. So yeah, maybe it might be a moment to try to pull something like that together for yourself. But good luck. We will check in soon with another update. And peace for you.